When the word Sinaloa first comes into the mind of many people, the first thing they associate it with is crimes, cartels, drugs, homicides, violence. Not safe, but Sinaloa is more than that. It is actually a quite beautiful state. It has an incredibly large coastline, which is incredibly gorgeous. The food and the culture is incredibly rich. The climate is quite warm, but what is even warmer than that are the people. They will always be friendly and willing to lend you a hand. Sinaloa is just more than violence. It is quite a beautiful state, and you should know more about it. So now we will talk it.
The name Sinaloa comes from the Cajit language. It's the combination of words Sina, which means pitaya, and lobola, which means rounded. The pitaya is a common plant throughout the region. The state of Sinaloa shares its borders with the Pacific Ocean and the Gulf of California to the west, and with the states of Sonora and Chihuahua to the north, Chihuahua and Durango to the east, and Nayarit to the south. Mazatlan served as capital in the 19th centuries. However, Sinaloa's current capital is Culiacan and is the largest city of the state. Other major cities are Mazatlan, Los Mochis, Guasave, and Guamuchil. And there are 18 regional divisions. It has 3 international airports, Mazatlan, Culiacan, and Los Mochis. There are 18,335 kilometers of roads. Culiacan has a highly developed highway network, including a 4-lane highway direct to the United States. The railroad network links Sinaloa to the rest of Mexico and with key cities in the United States.
Sinaloa is a state with beautiful architecture that showcases the past, present, and future techniques of architecture. And it has tons of buildings that actually show us that that's the reality. So I'll talk about some of these states and the buildings that they have in there. For example, in Culiacan, you have the Art Museum in Sinaloa, which has tons of pre-Hispanic pieces, the Antigua Catedral Basílica de Nuestra Señora del Rosario, which is an example of the colonial type of buildings. There is the Science Center of Sinaloa, which supports young students into learning more about sciences. It is the Art Center in Sinaloa, Centenario. There is the Jardín Botánico of Culiacán, which is a very famous location, and the Torre Tres Ríos, which is a huge building with an impressive architecture. In Mazatlan, you have Catedral Basílica de San Juan Mazatlan. You have the Art Museum of Mazatlan, which also has lots of pre-Hispanic and colonial pieces, and Art Gallery, which is more of a modern gallery, which has tons of interactive pieces and a lot of digital pieces too, and you can interact a lot with it, which is quite modern. In Los Mochis, you have Museo Regional del Valle del Fuerte, and El Fuerte is a place which has the train El Chepe, which is a historic train that goes through the mountains. Then in Neo, you have the Neo ruins, which have the ruins of a very, very, very old church, and it really looks cool because it only has the bricks. In Plaza Machado, which is in Mazatlan, you have El Faro de Mazatlan, which is pretty historic and has been there for lots of decades. And finally, El Parque de las Riberas is a park in which you can walk, you can go on bicycle, and it has tons of different monuments to heroes and artists, which is actually very representative. Now I'm going to talk about the places of interest, beginning with Tsurotato in Badiraguato. This is a town that seems quite surreal at first glance, because Sinaloa is known as a very beach state with lots of heat and not a ton of forests, and this is the contrary. This town is actually quite famous for being close to the Occidental Mountain Range, and in here you can do tons of forest activities like rappel hiking and going into the forest onto expeditions and camping. You can also canoe in the lake. But what is most famous about Surutato is the beautiful balcony. This touristic balcony actually is quite high, and in there you have a complete view of the forest, which is mesmerizing. Then Concordia and Cosala. In these towns, there is a tradition of selling rustic furniture covered with leather. Also, Cosala is a pueblo mágico, which means that it's quite a beautiful town. It is very rustic and colorful and colonial. And in this town, there are expeditions to the forest and the mountains where you can practice extreme sports in company of the forest. In El Fuerte Aume, you can board El Chepe, which is a very historic train that can get you from Sinaloa to Sonora through Las Barrancas del Cobre. And in there, you can enjoy the beautiful scenery, the dry, and the Tarahumara culture. Then there is another connective place of interest, which is El Baluarte, a very famous bridge that connects you from Sinaloa to Durango. This bridge is an exemplar of the beautiful and incredible and powerful Mexican engineering, and it has been in tons of magazines and documentaries about engineering. And then there is Parque de las Riberas, which I already mentioned and is quite famous for you to go in the little boats and enjoy the river and take a walk. And now I'm going to talk of one of the most touristic states, which is Mazatlan. Mazatlan is a beach state, and it has one of the best beaches in the entire north of the country, like Nueva Altata and Topolobampo. In Mazatlan, there is also a ferry that can connect you to Baja California in just a couple of hours. In Mazatlan, there is La Isla de los Nevados, or Venados, and it is a fun fact that Mazatlan means Tierra de los Venados, and there is a legend that that island was completely populated by venados. Also, another fun fact, El Malecón de Mazatlan is the biggest in the world, and it has tons of restaurants and cultural places to visit and touristic shops and souvenirs, etc. Also, El Mar de Cortés, which is the mar in Mazatlan, it is the one with the biggest diversity of marine critters in the world. And in there you can practice tons of the sporting fishing like El Pez Espada or the marlins. You can also practice tons of aquatic sports such as snorkeling or others. And also there are the fun dunes. That's actually how it's called. And it is a place where you can go in your four-wheel vehicles and go in for fun. And it's actually quite famous. So these are just some of the places of interest for the entire family in Sinaloa.
Flora. Mountainous areas of the Sierra Madre Occidental. Dry jungle. Predominates the dry jungle, followed by the forest of conifers and oaks that are in the mountainous area of the Sierra Madre. The bushes are in the earth of the zone of northwest of entity. In the lands near to the coast, there are numerous lagoons and statues of brackish water, which are the mangroves are established there. Wildlife. Dry forest, dry jungle, common snake, frogs and salamander. Forest. Tlalcoyote, bat, slow. Destruct. Forest rat, mouse, scorpion, bow, cat's eye snake, among others. Manglers, crocodiles and iguana. In aquatic environment, dolphins, whales and snails. Also animals in danger of extinction, there is the tigrillo. Agriculture. The most dignified agriculture in the country is practiced in here, which allows to achieve great productivity. Among the main products include cucumber, tomato, pumpkin, eggplant, chili, mango, melon, watermelon, corn, bean, rice, among others. The agriculture activity occupies 30% of the surface. Important rivers. They are shown in the map here. El Fuerte, Sinaloa, Mocorito, Culiacán, Nabolato, Cozalá, Elota, San Ignacio, Mazatlán, among others also.
Sinaloa counts with 1,502,236 women and 1,564,085 men, giving a total population of 2,966,321, making the number 15 nationally for number of inhabitants. In Sinaloa, 84% of the total population profess the Catholic religion. Born in Mazatlán, Sinaloa, Pedro Infante is one of the most important characters in the history of Sinaloa and Mexico. He was a singer and an actor, and made more than 60 movies as a protagonist between 1939 and 1957, what makes him one of the biggest idols of the Mexican golden era of cinema. He also made more than 344 songs and was recognized in all Latin America and some parts of Europe, like Spain. Another important character of the history of Sinaloa would be Lola Beltrán. She is the first Mexican that sang rancheras in the Palacio of Bellas Artes. She also performed in places like the Metropolitan of New York, the White House, Madison Square Garden, or the Olympia of Room in Paris, between others. Founder of La Banda El Recodo, Cruz Lizárraga is the first artist that recorded banda music, and with that, he opened the doors for other group music to be known further of the Mexican borders, being the born of a new genre of music that would be a hit in different parts away from Mexico.
The current governor of Sinaloa is Kirin Ordaz Coppel. He was born in Mazatlán, Sinaloa. He studied laws and he has a master's degree in public administration. Also, he has accomplished several courses related to his master's degree. The Carnival of Mazatlán was inaugurated in 1898, making it a tradition of more than 120 years. This event takes place a week before Cuaresma and is known as the third biggest carnival around the world. The Ulama game is a sport played in some communities in Sinaloa. It came from the Aztec civilization and is known as one of the oldest sports in history. Also, is recognized as one of the first games used in the world. During the Reform War, the Mexicans faced the French invasion. In 1864, the governor of Sinaloa with an army of 400 soldiers beat the European forces in La Batalla de San Pedro. This is remembered and yet celebrated in all the state. In Sinaloa, there are 23,426 people older than 5 years old that speak an indigenous language, which represents 1% of the total population of the state. The most spoken languages are Maya, with 11,131 speakers, Nahuatl, with 2,136 speakers, Tarahumara, with 1,864 speakers, Mixteco, with 1,655 speakers. All of this according to a research made by INEGI in 2010. The current governor of Sinaloa is Kirin Ordaz Coppel. He was born in Mazatlán, Sinaloa. He studied laws and he has a master's degree in public administration. Also, he has accomplished several courses related to his master's degree. The Carnival of Mazatlán was inaugurated in 1898, making it a tradition of more than 120 years. This event takes place a week before Cuaresma and is known as the third biggest carnival celebration around the world. The Ulama game is a sport played in some communities in Sinaloa. It came from the popular ball game from the Aztec community, and is also known as one of the oldest sports in history. And also it's important because it's one of the oldest games using a ball. During the Reform War, the Mexicans faced the French invasion. In 1864, the governor of Sinaloa, with an army of 400 soldiers, beat the European forces in La Batalla de San Pedro. This is remembered and yet celebrated in all the state. There are 23,426 people older than 5 years old that speak an indigenous language, which represents 1% of the total population of the state. The most spoken languages are Maya, with 11,131 speakers, Nahuatl, with 2,136 speakers, Tarahumara, with 1,864 speakers, and Mixteco, with 1,655 speakers, according to a research made by INEGI in the year of 2010.
Sinaloa is recognized in the nation because it is the leading state in the production of food. Some have even gone to call it the breadbasket of Mexico. Their geographical position helps a lot, since they are very close to the United States. Sinaloa is a land with fertile soil, abundant sun, and 11 rivers that help with the production and processing of food with extraordinary quality. Among the most important economic production activities, we can observe commerce, agriculture, construction, and the food industry. From Sinaloa come a lot of important companies known around the entire country, such as Grupo Coppel, Su Carne, Casa Ley, etc. Economic sectors that are increasing are food, agro-industry, hotels and tourism, commerce and mining. A report regarding foreign direct investment in Sinaloa was made in 2017 and stated that the total investment was of $747.1 million. As seen in the presented chart, even though it is in Spanish, we can observe that most of its investment is focused in agriculture and mining, since those are the sectors that mostly help the economy. Sinaloa is considered the fifth state inside Mexico with more exports, since it counts with 465 companies that export to 58 countries around the world. Products exported are mainly food. When talking about the Human Development Index, we observe a study made by El Debate, which states that at global level, Mexico is in the 71st with a Human Development Index of 0.756, and Sinaloa has 0.764. The quality of life inside this state depends on where they live. In Culiacán, that is near the coast, it is higher, and in Badiraguato, it is lower since it is farthest from the ocean. Around one-third of Sinaloa's population, 930,000 people, live under conditions of poverty. Their income is pretty low and they lack one of their basic rights, like education, shelter, etc. Out of those 930,000, 87,000 live under extreme poverty situations. They lack more than 3 of their basic rights at once, and their income is under 20 pesos a day. Education in Sinaloa has an average of 9.6 within population, aged 15 and over, which means that more than secondary school is completed. Out of 100 people in Sinaloa, 4.7 don't have a scholarly grade, 48.4 have finished basic education, 23.9 finished high school, and 23 have finished superior education or university, their career. As most of us can guess, Sinaloa has the same case, that women have longer life expectancy than men. The chart shown was made by INEGI in 2016 and shows with orange bars the life expectancy in Sinaloa, 73.1 years for men and 78.7 for women. The bar in yellow shows life expectancy in the whole country. Sinaloa is a state that has a lot of diseases related to diabetes, the heart, car accidents, etc. And with time, health services have improved a lot to help all citizens. There is quality popular insurance with more than 20 health services settlements. Health access and health quality have improved over the years.